All right, good morning. We got Austin, Troy, Juliet, Isaac, and Joey. A bunch of legends. All right, heck yes. So here's what's really amazing is I believe AI software development is going to be probably the next essentially like form of software development for all of software. And I more mean as this is going to be the way that people get MVPs, right? Which is called minimal viable products. And what's really crazy is a lot of people in the software world, right? Like there's something called code options where you do custom code for everything. And then there's something where you do what's called no code, right? So no code is where you don't use code. You build, like with no code tools, like you're just adding your logo or you're dragging and dropping. Well, I believe that AI introduces something that is the ability to code, but with no code, right? And so during this time frame, I've kind of been trying to figure out what is the best way to launch a software start to finish. And I more mean is like getting a software where you have a login, somebody can use it on the internet, and then it has some type of functionality, right? And so the best way to do this is to do a simple project with everybody as a group, right? And so what I'm going to be doing is over time, one is we're going to have training. Yes, we're going to be teaching people how to do this, but two, actual projects on to do this. I imagine that I'm probably going to be a software developer for probably the rest of my life. Like if I go from software development, the next thing is probably robotics. But if I'm doing robotics, that's like programming like robots to move. Well, I'm programming the robots to move. That means I'm the software developer behind the robot, right? So I don't feel that I'm ever going to leave software development at all. What I believe is I want to create these little softwares and I want to set them down in the rain. And I want them to be tools that help people on a regular basis. Tools that I can literally like, hey, this is a problem that somebody's having. Here's a solution that I could solve. And the faster I could get that tool up, the faster I could get start to finish that project launched, that's where I look at the success. Because how fast can you solve a problem start to finish? Well, that's what I believe AI gives us. A lot of times, a few minutes ago before we just jumped on the call, we talked about different ways of owning a software. Well, you could do something called white labeling, right? So you could add like your logo, right? You could literally like just, you don't have to create the entire software. You can literally, somebody else can build the software and you could slap your logo on it, point your domain, add your own checkout process and Stripe account, and then you own that own software, okay? Like that is a very valuable business model. Now, here's the thing. If you do that business model, don't just go down the business model of like, all right, cool, I own the software and now I'm a software owner. Understand that whoever created the white label is giving business opportunities to other people. That's almost like giving digital franchises on the internet, right? Like that is amazing. Like that business model is phenomenal. Like McDonald's has made billions of dollars, not off selling hamburgers, but off selling the franchises and the real estate of owning it, right? Like when you have online properties, well, that's like selling logins, selling domains, being affiliate to a hosting company, right? Like that's like owning parts of the property throughout the process of being online, right? Well, you could also own part of the software. You could just instantly white label a software and you could own that whole thing. Okay, so there are ways to do that. Whenever I started off my white label, like my software journey, I mean, right? So I see Joey, right? Joey, do you have a funnel hacker shirt on? Right? Is that what I saw? What's up, man? Funnel hacker represent, right? So here's what's really crazy is Russell Brunson has ClickFunnels. Well, guess what? Over time, it's like, dude, he has an awesome funnel building software. Well, guess what? He teaches people to funnel hack. Well, like eventually everybody wants what Russell Brunson wants, right? So everybody wants a funnel builder. He's already sold everybody on it. We already have a shirt. I just need my own software. You know what I mean? And so all of a sudden, there has been software that has been released in the last few months, in the last few years, in the last like that instantly make it where you could slap your logo at the top and you could own your own funnel building software, right? So in the replay of the video, I'll add a whole bunch of links in this that are going to show some of the website building platforms or some of the white labeling platforms that I've used. And here's what's crazy is I have used everything from website building platforms to crypto platforms. I'm talking crypto casinos, like online internet, right? Like make sure that they don't violate the rules and all this stuff, right? But like literally like full little online digital slot machines, like all that you could buy on scripts and own with code and you could own on the internet. Like it's absolutely fantastic, right? Austin, you got a quick question?
So I kind of wanted to talk about because how I got into programming. When I was in middle school, I was in a robotics class, and it was so cool. Like what got me into it is we built a robot. I wish I still had the video, and I bet you I have it somewhere.
Person detected at Lake House back door.
Cool. I wish so the robot literally helped us build with Legos. And we like had to program it in a bunch of, I think we were using C# and a bunch of different other languages. And yeah.
Person detected at Lake House back door.
That just means someone's at the lake house. Oh well. But yeah, so that's what got me into programming, and I just wanted to share that little bit because literally we had like little computers that we had to connect little nodes to. It was so cool to be able to build a software or build a program that built Legos. And we weren't building anything like simple. I think we built a spaceship at one point with just our robot.
Very cool. All right. So do you guys want me to show you guys how to build your own dashboard software today where you could create your own login? Or do you guys want me to show you a couple sites for white labeling that you guys could potentially look at to own your own software and get that launched up first? Which one would you guys like to do today?
What was the first option?
Build your own login and software so you could actually log in and create your own stuff. And then eventually you could create it where you could have your own white labelers. You know what I mean? You could make it where you could have your own software for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of covered the login at some point, at least briefly. I'd like to just maybe even if you just glanced over shortly over some white label ideas or sites, and then maybe we could apply that to, like you said, a login to access those things that we've white labeled.
Word. Okay. All right. So here's what we could do is this is going to be cool is we could almost do a combination of them because during this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate a software that I've been building with you guys almost alive. And it's a website called The Humans Behind AI, right? Remember that little website that I had? Right. And I took it down because it was on Bubble. There's something called workflow units. There's just a lot of stuff behind the scenes, right? So it kind of needs custom code, right? So here's what it is I wanted this to be a directory. So every single one of us could put on our offers and our like products and all of our things that we like a link directory for us internally, right? So Austin has all these products. Well, Austin is probably, people will hire him for custom software, I bet. And people would also hire him to check out his software. So he has a couple links that he would gladly like to show on his profile, right? So for me, how do I create those things so we can all display them and show them, right? So here's what we're going to do is in this, I do have a couple white label programs that I would show and share with people. Well, how do I do that? Where do I go to create that, right? Where do I display all of those things in that? Right. So Austin said, can you cover how to connect a software to the Bubble database? All right. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to connect to a database, but I'm actually not going to use Bubble. All right. And this is actually really interesting is because I'm a big Bubble fanboy. I love Bubble. right? Now, here's what's interesting is over this last few weeks, I have learned that Bubble, there is some flaws when it comes to like, Bubble's almost like a really phenomenal, like if you stay on their platform. But once you start to like need to call the back end, once you start to need to call a lot of data, once you need to do HIPAA, like which is we have nurses and doctors as our clients. Once you start to need to do that, well, like you start to run into some issues with Bubble. It's not a HIPAA compliant database. There is some limitations. It does cost a lot if you don't build it correctly, right? There's some issues, and it does take a little bit of time. So what is the solution? So here's what I've learned. Have you guys ever heard of a website called Xano?
I've heard you mention it, but I forget it.
Okay. So here's what's really cool. There's a website called Xano, and we will just show my desktop. And Xano is basically think about this, right? My AI team in the code snippets, my AI team is the front end. Okay. That's what my AI team, it's the front end. Well, the back end, if you talked about like front end and back end, there's a language for essentially the front end code, right? So front end code is HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. That's the every time you look at a page and you see how pretty it looks and you see all the words, that's HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, right? That's all what that is. Well, every time you think about storing data is something inside, you want to think of a back end. Well, a lot of times you could use Bubble, but here's the thing is Xano is a no-code database. Well, what does that mean? Essentially, Xano gives us the ability to have an entire database that gives us where we could connect with APIs. Okay, so this whole entire database is set up, and that means the back end is set up for us. The front end is all coded with my AI team, right? So check this out. So here's what we could do. I could type in right here, and I could say, create me a login screen or a login page. Let's just say a login page and sign up page, okay? And then that's all I'm gonna say. All right, create me a login and sign up page. So this is inside my AI team. Well, if we were to create this, how do we actually save data? How do we save users? How do we save any of that information? Inside Bubble, it's like using you have to almost learn Bubble, which is fine. And I still think Bubble has its place. And I still think that there's a stack of like using Xano, Bubble, and my AI team. I think that's like the flow with using some type of sales process, right? Go high level, Aspire Builder. Those needs to be your sales funnels, right? So there still is a process of building this, but you need to be able to create logins. So check this out, right? So we have a little sign up, super clean, right? This literally created us a little sign up back and forth, right? Full name, email, confirm password, login, sign up, email. Well, right now, this doesn't actually do anything, and it doesn't really, quote unquote, sign up anything. So here's what we're going to go to do. We're going to go into Xano, and I'm going to go into databases, okay? And what we're going to do is inside Xano, basically, whenever you create a new like type of data or a new database, they give you what's called a user table, right? So if I click on this, think about this, right? So if you guys ever look at what is data, so these are all my users. All right, so literally like all my users are right here. Like it's my name, my email, my password, and then the amount of credits, right? So, and you could add it. If I want to add to the spreadsheet, right, I could just press this little button right here, and I could put what kind of data that is. All right, this Xano gets really deep. So if you want to become like somebody that's like a back-end data specialist, you could do everything in here. However, it's also super easy to use just out the gate without anything crazy, right? And here's how you're going to use it. Okay, so we create a database, right? And this is our user data table, okay? Well, here's what's really cool is every user data table automatically comes with API endpoints. All right, well, API endpoints used to be really tough. You have to read them, you have to learn them, you have to study the documentation. Like there's just a lot going on. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to click on the API, and essentially how they organize these are folders, right? They're called groups. All right. Essentially there was an default group. That's all the one that I'm going to use. And so I'm just going to click on the defaults. And here's what's really cool is I was actually really confused with this process when I first learned Xano, because I didn't know how to get the data in. I didn't know how to reference the user. I didn't know how to do a whole bunch of stuff, right? So here's what I'm going to show you guys. Inside here, you can see that these are called, what is an API endpoint? There's instructions through this all throughout this process that actually show you and tell you and guide you through the process. However, I'm just going to show you guys, right? So at any time you can create an API endpoint, but they also have the default ones, which are the auth, which is authentication. That's logging in, getting the user, and signing up. That's it. That's what we need to be able to store data. After that, you're able to create all your Excel-like type sheets and create all your data, right? So if we go to the authentication, well, here's what's cool. You see how it says Swagger documentation right here? If I click this, it opens up a new tab. And this opens up the instructions for the actual like authentication, like how to do this. So if you see how we scroll down, you see how it says auth, and then it says auth sign up. Well, if we scroll down here, this actually says sign up and retrieve auth token, authentication not required. And then it says you need the name, the email, and the password. Okay. And then it says try out. So I could hit try out right here. And then if you notice, I could actually type in things right here. Well, what is this doing, right? Like this is just making it where I could type in, but this is making it where I'm doing an API call on this page as a test. All right, so if I was to create this, right, and then you see how it says username example, and if I hit 1, 2, 3, and then I could type in my password, right, and I'm just going to type in string, sure, right, and if I hit execute, you're going to see right here, all right, input does not meet minimum requirements for password, right, so it actually is calling the thing, but it needs a full password, right, so I'm just going to type in password. Password. Hey, conveniently password is 8 words or 8 letters. Okay, so I'm going to hit execute. And then check this out. Weak password. Please use at least one number. All right, this thing is, all right, at least one number. Password 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. All right, and I'm going to hit execute. And we have password 1, 2, 3. And if you look at this, this actually just created us. You see how it says an auth token right here? This actually gave us the authentication token that we need to reference this user from here on out. All right, so if we look in here in our database, inside data, and I go into user, well, check out this. You see how it says name, string, user down right here? This is just added. Jeff, user 1, 2, 3, and then my password is right in here. So I literally just created a sign up. I just signed up. Well, how do we connect this to my AI team? Well, do you guys see this? I wouldn't even call this Chinese, right? Do you guys see this crazy code language? Like, what is this? Right? So here's what we're going to do. In order to get the sign up, okay, there's 2 things in order to sign a user up. You have to sign them up, and then you actually have to get the user. Like you have to get their account, right? So here's what you do, right? So if I copy this authentication, I'm going to copy this authentication code right here. I'm going to hit copy. Right? And I'm going to go into here, and now you see where it says the get, and I'm going to hit try out. And here's what's crazy. You see this little lock right here? This is where we pass in our authentication, and I'm going to hit authorize. And now if I hit execute on this, you're going to see it literally returns my user data, right? So here's the response body down right here. This made the call, and this returned the user data of my user. All right, so that means it shows that I logged in, and then it has my user, my credits, all of this stuff. So watch this. If the next one is the login, right? So if I make it where there's actually a login, right? Well, the login does the same thing. It returns an auth token. You see how it says success auth token? Well, here's what's crazy. If I was in Bubble and I had to set all these things up, well, I would have to set up a login page, and then I would have to set up all of these things, right? But now watch this, right? We're a couple minutes into the call, and I'm going to copy everything right down here. And I'm just going to copy this get, off, login, and everything, right? All the way down to basically the last call, right? So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go back into my AI team, and I'm going to say connect to these API keys. All right, for login, sign up, and then once I am signed in, show all the account info. All right. Also, give me a logout button when signed in. When signed in. All right. And then I'm going to paste the entire API documentations. All right. Now watch this, and I'm going to hit generate. Do you guys know last night I had dreams? I was really cold. I was cold in the middle of the night, but I was trying to cover up my body with my blanket by generating a blanket in my, like, I was like, just generate. I'm so cold. It wouldn't generate. And, I was dreaming all night about this. All night long, I was creating software and building logins and creating all this, right? And so now we have our login, right? And we have our sign up, right? And so let's see. I didn't like the way that styled that, right? So that looks terrible. All right, so I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to say connect to these, and I'm going to like go all the way to the end, and I'm going to say make the styling look better. All right. So at any time you could go back into the history, right? You don't have to feel like, oh, I messed something up. Oh no, I code, like nothing like that. Just go back into the history, go update, because I don't want to work from that spot and then have to tell it to make simple updates. I like this login. It's simple, it's clean. Okay. So we're going to want to do a couple things. Is once this gets connected, we're going to want to start creating data. All right. And that data is going to be where we could actually like save some of my favorite links, right? Look, okay, so this made a beautiful login. Come on, look at that. All right. Okay, so we have a login. All right, so my login was, if I go back into my database, I'm just going to sign into, let's see, all right, user 123. All right, email, password, and then password 123. All right, and I'm going to hit login. Please work. Boom. Check that out. All right, look at that. We literally just referenced a login information in an account. Do you guys see this? We created a login, we logged in, and now we referenced our account right there on the spot. We're not connecting to Bubble. This is all full custom code. Everything. All connecting to a database that is using proper authentication. You guys hear that? Let all the haters tell you guys your code doesn't work or it's AI generated and it's not, blah, blah, blah. That's what I've been searching for, is something that could handle proper authentication. Sometimes Bubble can't do that. It's really technical to figure out how to do that. Me trying to explain how to do all that for you guys, holy cow, that's insane. However, sometimes you need a software that is fully custom coded, but also has a scalable database. Fully scalable, and also the ability to be HIPAA compliant. If it stores patient record or privacy record or school records, you cannot have a Bubble database. You have to upgrade to a Xano type of database. Like, that's what we use it for. So this is a better long-term database, but also, you see how fast I just connected into this. I literally just created a login information in seconds. Well, now what do we do? Well, what if I have multiple pages in my software and I want to be able to keep login information between all of them? Well, let me show you guys something really, really nerdy, okay? If I right-click this and I hit inspect, and I go into these, right? Let me make sure you guys can see my tab, right? Right, so cool. You guys can see this little drop down, cool, right? If I go into this inspect tab, and if I go over here into these little arrows, okay, into these little arrows, right? I'll just drag this over a little bit more. And I go into these arrows and I go into memory. Let's see, is it memory or application? All right, it's called application. This is super behind the scenes of the internet. Like, this is how you understand how to save passwords and how to save information. So if I go over here into local storage and I click on app.my.ai team, all right, there's a lot of local storage in here. However, I'm going to look for something called auth token. And you see right here where it says auth token? The auth token is actually the authorization token that's being passed to my user data right here. You see this auth token, this really long auth token right here? This authorization token is what's needed but what does that even matter? Why is that so important? Well, if I close this, well, check this out. If I go back into here and I just, instead of getting the login information, okay, I'm not going to get the login information. What I'm going to do is, you see where it says this get, where it's get the user belonging to the authentication token. This is essentially the authentication process to decide if our user should be in our software or not. If there should not be in our software, the software should kick them out almost immediately. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to copy this information and I'm going to scroll down, right? I'm going to copy, oh, that's the backwards. All right, so I'm going to copy the auth.me, the auth/me, which is getting the user record for the authentication, right? And I'm going to scroll down. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll down and I am going to say copy, and I'm going to go back into my AI team and I'm going to say create me a software dashboard, dashboard with links on the side, links on the side, okay, links on the side menu, and a header up top, okay. That's kind of what like my software looks like. My AI team, I have links on the side with a header up top, okay. And what I'm going to say is connect to this API to make sure the user is allowed and signed in. If they are not, give a warning that I can cancel, right? I'm not going to say you're going to always use that. Warning that I could cancel to redirect them to leave the software if they are not signed in. Okay, so that's going to give me a warning at the top. I could cancel it because I don't want to be redirected, but I'll show you guys that it works. And then it will kick me out if I'm not signed in. Okay, so basically I'm going to hit paste, and I'm going to hit paste, and I'm going to hit create an open project. Now here's what is amazing is, you know how we save that little auth token to the site? Well, we could do a couple things with that. Is in here, I could make it where they log in directly, but I could also make it where as soon as they log in, it forwards them to another page. And then they get to this page and it determines if they're logged in, they should be logged in or not. And so now I could have a login that's on a login page, and I could have a, so look, watch it. Here, we're going to have our authorization. Check out this. You are not signed in. There's a little cancel button, right? So I'm not signed in. Okay, so check this out, right? I'm not signed in. And here's what I could do is I could say now, I could do this is I could copy this domain because I want to copy this domain. And this is kind of a little technical, but this is how I want, like how to properly, this is how I'm to properly do it, right? Is I'm going to say once the user is signed in, give me a button to go to dashboard, okay? And then go to this link and send the auth token as a URL parameter, okay? Now, instead of me here's what's really amazing. Instead of me 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago teaching you how to create and code up the ability to send authorization tokens through URL parameters, do you know how long that is for like to custom code this? And I'm able to tell this in seconds how to do this. Like, if this doesn't blow your guys' mind to be able to say, okay, wow, like the ability of if I could do this doesn't rely on me. It relies on the AI. You just have to know what to do and know what to say and kind of go through this. If you have to watch this video 10 times, watch it. Just kind of go through this process of like, okay, this is what I do. This is how I set up this part, right? And now I'm going to pass up send the auth as a URL parameter, okay, to this page. And I'm going to paste. All right. And then I'm going to hit generate. And now here's what's really cool is this is how you talk between two pages. A lot of times when I'm building, I no joke have 5, 6, 7, 8 tabs up top. And I'm building on multiple My AI team pages back and forth. I'm literally going back and forth and telling it to update one and telling it to update another. Like bam, 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 right? And I'm just going back and forth with this, right? So I'm going to, as soon as this one's done, watch what I'm going to do. So now we have a little thing, and then it says go to dashboard. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this code, right? Which it's Command A, and I'm going to hit C, Command C, if you're on a Mac, and I'm going to hit copy. And now I'm going to go to this one, and I'm going to say, hey, bro, this HTML login form that I made is sending the auth token to this page. Can you make sure to get it from the URL? That's it. And I'm going to paste in the entire HTML from the other page. And look, I'm going to hit generate. You don't have, like, all of the stuff that I'm learning right now, I watched YouTube videos with. I stumbled my way through the Xano instructions that they have, and then I launched. This process that I'm telling you guys is the streamlined way of getting this set up really fast. All right, this is to make it where you can have users, logins, dashboards, everything like this. All right, so now this just updated. Now watch this. Now I'm going to go to Dash. And this thing, let's see. I think that's because I am not in this go to dashboard. Okay, so let me open this inside a incognito window, right? Copy, because then I'm not actually logged in. All right, incognito window.
Was using the auth dashboard.
Yeah. Stop sharing. Let's do this entire screen. All right. Boom. All right. So now we go here. Oh yeah. I wonder if maybe it's like sending it to a different index. All right. If I paste this page in, all right, here, if you ever go to this, an incognito window with your My AI team pages, it's going to show you what it looks like without a user being signed in, like a brand new account, everything. All right, so what was my login information, which was user123. And here, password was password123. Login. All right, and then I could go to dashboard. Hopefully it'll redirect me and send me to the dashboard. Let's see. You're not signed in still. What's happening? It's like redirecting me on this page and not actually getting the redirect.
Yeah.
What you got?
You were using the auth dashboard, not this one.
Like the auth dashboard. Like which one was I?
That one right there.
Hey, bro. Oh my God.
Huh.
Wait, this is the HTML for the login that I made. I use the auth HTML for this one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just try this. All right. Let's do this. We'll go to history. We'll go back right here. Use the HTML. All right. Okay. Boom. Here. All right. And now what we're going to do, we're going to grab this one from the view code, copy this, add it over here, and paste it. All right. Here's what I'm going to do is inside here, whenever it says, I'm going to say, can you open the link in a new tab? Okay. And then this is going to be the link and pass the auth as a parameter. Okay. In the URL. All right, cool. So then I'm going to hit generate. I think sometimes if it keeps it in the same tab or the same like little area, it doesn't actually like, it just kind of redirects in the page. So I'm just going to make it where it opens up in a new tab. And then I know it's going to open up in there. Okay. All right. So it kind of looks like this one is logged in. Let's see. So if it is, I'm going to hit copy and I'm going to tell it like, can you make sure to show the user login info? And I'm going to paste that API. All right. And we're going to go back to this one. And if I just hit get dashboard, you could see it opened up a new tab and it passed in the auth token up there top. Do you guys see that? So now it actually worked where if I hit go to dashboard, it opens up and then it has the auth token up top. And now we just updated this so it actually has our user login information. So if I go back to the incognito window, right, which is the exact same thing. If I go back into the incognito window, I can refresh this and I can hit go to dashboard and you're going to see it pass my authorization token. And now I have my user login in here.
Bam.
Okay. So instantly we set up login information to the user. Well, now we could actually, what could we do with that information? Right? Well, now we could actually store inside Xano, we could actually start storing data. Right? So if I actually wanted to go into the database and if I create add new table, okay, so there is something called enter data manually, or you can import from another one. I'm just going to say one manually. And I'm going to say, basically, these are all going to be my favorite tools. Okay. So these are all my favorite, like, I'm just going to say tools. Okay. Favorite tools. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, you see how it says add basic CRUD endpoints. Well, a CRUD endpoint, CRUD means create, read, update, and delete. So if you're ever wondering, like on social media, like if we go to Facebook, right? Every single post on Facebook is essentially like this person, Matthew, he created a post. I can now read the post. He can, if he misspelled something, he can update the post and he can also delete the post. Okay. Does that make sense what CRUD is? So 90% of the software online that you see is some form of CRUD, right? Create, read, update, delete. That's it. You got to create a record, read a record, update a record, and delete a record. Have all those functionalities in your software, okay? So whatever you're doing. So in this, I need to be able to create favorite tools for myself, read all of my favorite tools so you guys could see them, update them, because if I want a new one, and then delete it. So I'm going to hit add table. And this, all this is doing is creating us a database. Okay. This is what a database is. All right. So it has an ID as the default because now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? For every listing, there's no ID. Well, then it's created at. So that's the time it was created. Well, here's what we also do. Now we need to do is we need to add some things. Well, text, I can add text, and I can add a database. This is an Excel sheet, okay? This is all this is. So if you ever use an Excel sheet is just the back end of a software, okay? That's all it is, data. All right, so here's what we can do. Now we can hit text column, and I'm gonna say tool name. All right, and I'm gonna hit add column. Well, check out this. All it did was create us a tool name, and now we have a little tool name there. That's it. Next, I'm gonna hit, I wanna actually create this tool name so I could reference the user of who created this tool, okay? So what I'm gonna do, you see how it says table reference? This is why this stuff is so important, is because you guys are able to see, all right, if you have a doctor and he has multiple clients, or if you have a school that has multiple students and classes that have multiple students, you want to be able to reference all those students. So we have a table reference. So I could reference a table and I could reference my users, right? These are all my tables. This is my users. So I could reference the users. And now I could say, these are my user ID. Okay, perfect. I could hit add column. And now I have tool names and I have references of users. So I can always reference my users right there. The next step is I'm going to add a link, because you got to have a link. All right. Tool name, link. What else? They probably need like some type of logo. That'd be cool. Can I upload logos in this thing? Sure can. We have storage. That's so incredibly helpful. All right. So now we have storage, and then it says image metadata. Perfect. That's all I need. So I'm going to say logo, and I'm going to hit add column. So now we have tool name, user ID, link, logo. Is there anything else I need to have a link directory? I mean, I could have description. Sure. Why not? Okay. I'm going to have tool, and I'm going to have hey, look, they spelled description right below there for me. So I don't even have to figure out how to spell description. How convenient. All right. So now we have description. Well, now check this out. This is why I love Xano, and this is why it's going to be so fast for us to create software from here on out. If I go back, we can now see that we have our favorite tools. Well, here's what we can do. If we click on API, I can now go to, okay, let's see. I might need to add that tools where I could add that to a group. So let's see. If I go to my tools, where to go? Favorite tools. And I want to add this to a group. I wonder how I do that. All right. Let's see. Here's all my endpoints. Awesome. Group. All right. So cool. It's in my API group. You see how it says API group default? Awesome. That's what I was looking for. All right. Like where is it at? All right. So now if I go into my API group default, which is the folder for it, here's my little defaults. And if I scroll down, I now have favorite tools. You see that? Favorite tools. I have a get function, which says query all favorite tool records. Then I have an add function, which adds my favorite tools, and I could create new favorite tools. Then I have a delete function. Then I have a get favorites tool record. So that means it just gets a single record. And then I have an edit record. I literally have 5 API endpoints just for that database table now. Create, read, update, delete, right? Create is creating with as a post, right? So it's add a new favorite tool record. Then the next one is to get all of them, read them. There's 2 gets, right? Because you could get all of the records or you could get 1 record at a time. All right. The next one is edit, create, read, update. And then the last one is delete. Well, now check out this. If we want to make it where we could store this data, I could click on Swagger, our Swagger documentation. All right, we got that Swagger. All right, now here's what's really cool. If I go into these API endpoints, this is a little nerdy, right? But if I hit in this post, if we do something where it's, you see how it says public API point and then it has this little lock on it, we're going to want to do something. I'm going to hit API endpoint and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to make it where, you see how it says authentication? It says user authentication. I actually want authentication with this to create a tool. This is how we make it where the tool is authenticated. Well, here's what's cool is I can now go to the user ID and if I, let's see, so default value, perfect. This will create, this should connect right to this, okay? So if I hit publish now, okay, let's just make sure this is all connected. Perfect, all right. So here's what's really cool. Xano gets really deep, right? These are all the endpoints where you could put inputs. Then you could do what's called a function stack, which is all the behind the scenes stuff if you ever want to edit, do stuff like data. And then you could return the results, right? So you could see all what's happening behind the scenes, okay? Which is really, really cool. So I'm going to hit back. And so here's what we need to do now is essentially we need to go to the Swagger documentation, and we are going to go down here to our favorite tools, and we're going to open all of these up. All right, we're going to open all of these up, and because these are the instructions for the API endpoints. This is literally all of the instructions that we need, okay? All of the instructions. So here's what's really cool is we can go through this. That's a get, that's a delete. There's a get favorite tool record. There's a patch. Let's see what else. There's a query all. And then the very last one is the add favorites tool, which requires the authentication. Okay. So here's what we're going to do is I'm going to copy everything all the way up to the top. Let's see, where's this? Success. Does the patch tool, does the get one require? I'm going to refresh this because I did update it. All right. All right. So does this one say that it requires authentication? It does. Okay. All right. So I'm going to, real fast, I want to authenticate this because I want to see a little, what's called a curl command. Okay. So if I hit try out real fast, this will populate and I can execute. Right. Well, this gives us what's called the curl command. So we could actually see all of this information. Okay. So I'm going to copy this now. Copy everything all the way up to that delete of the favorite tools. Oops. After I open all of them. All right. And it copies all of these instructions. And I'm going to hit copy. And then I'm going to go back into our dashboard. All right. And I'm going to say, can you make it so I can create, I'm just going to say, do the full CRUD, baby. All right. Full CRUD, baby, with all these API endpoints, and make it look amazing. All right. All right. And I'm just going to hit paste. All right. And I'm going to hit generate. And now here's what's really cool. You guys saw how a few seconds ago I just tested it, right? Because I wanted to get the curl command. Well, that actually created a record. So if I go into favorite tools, you could see, actually it didn't create a record. All right, interesting. All right, we'll see what happens after we create this. So now we're going to look at the database for our favorite tools. And we have this is going to load. Hopefully this works first time. 90% of the time it works first time. So don't be scared if you guys get an error and then you're like, I don't know what to do, right? It's actually funny. Isaac messaged me. He was stuck on an error with his software that he was building. And he's like, hey man, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. How do I fix this? And I was like, dude, sometimes you just got to take a nap. All right. So tool name, we have my AI team. All right. So we have tool name. It didn't add an upload for us. All right. And we could have tool description. All right. So I could say all in one AI software plus text to code. All right. Add tool. All right. Fill in URL. All right. HTTPS. Add tool. We have our tool name. Boom. Look at that. All right. Now we go into our database, refresh the database, and we have our tool name. Woohoo! All right, cool. So look, so you see how it didn't pass the user ID and it didn't pass in the logo. All right, so that's what we actually need to connect. All right, so I need to tell the AI also, right, because we have the user ID, we have all that. The user ID is right there. All right, so can you make it so I can pass in the user, can you make it so you pass in the user ID also when making a tool? And also, what else am I going to do? And also make it so I can upload and see the logos. Okay. All right. And I'm just going to paste. Well, you don't have to paste. So I could go back to history, right? And I could literally go back to the history and I could copy all these API endpoints if you wanted to reference the API endpoints, right? So like I still wanted to reference them just in case it didn't get all the data. And then I'm going to hit generate. Okay. And I wonder if I hit the visit tool, if it will open my AI team. It does. Look how convenient that is. All right. So I have all my favorite tools here. And you can see how we're quickly building a software, right? If somebody's logged in, it shows they're logged in. If they're not logged in, it removes them. So the next thing is, what if we want to deploy this software on our own domain? All right. So if I actually without using Bubble anymore, okay. So here's what's really cool is if I go into my AI team, I'm going to go into the cPanel. If you guys didn't know, basically I use Namecheap. All right. Namecheap has the ability to buy domains super cheap. You could buy $12 for a whole year. They also have hosting. Well, they have something called shared hosting. Okay. And the reason why you're going to want shared hosting is because it gives you access to something called a cPanel. Shared hosting, I think for a whole year, it's like $50. Okay. So it's like $4, $6 a month, right? Well, shared hosting gives you the ability to have files, but you can also add emails. You could have all your behind the scenes, it gives you the ability to do a lot. Okay. So now we have our favorite tool and we can have our logos, right? So I'm going to say, go high level. I'm going to go steal their logo. Right. Go high level. I'm going to save image as, and we are going to make our, I think I actually have a go high level affiliate link that I'll probably have when I'm going to update later, right? Because that's what this software can do, right? That's what we want. Update later. All right. So which page are we working on? This one. I'm going to close these ones. All right. So I could add the link for here. I could say white label possible. All right. And then I'm going to upload my logo. And we have go high level. I think that is a black logo. All right, cool. So it updated, but did it update our software? What happened? Where's our logo? All right. So if I go back into here, hit refresh, did it add our software? It did not. Why? Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay. So if it doesn't do said thing, I mean, we don't have to add a logo, but I like adding a logo. I wonder why it's not working. Okay. So sometimes if it doesn't work, I literally tell it, can you make this work 100%? Can you make this work 100%? And then I pasted in the instructions from the last one. All right. And then I'm going to hit generate. That's going to update. Okay. So the next thing is if we actually want to deploy this software onto our own website, we can, right? So if we go into File Manager, File Manager is really cool. If you guys didn't know, this gives you the ability to have all of your software. This is how you deploy software on the internet. So you could actually deploy this onto your guys' server and your website. And now you don't need Bubble as a hosting software, right? Here's what's cool is Xano gives you they give you 10,000 free records, right? So Xano's free up until 100, I think it's not 10,000, 100,000 free database records. So Xano is pretty cheap relatively. Oh, look, they have a little paid to share Xano. Okay. So I could literally copy Xano and I could go into my little once this thing's done loading, and I could add Xano as one of my little favorite tools. Okay. And so here we're going to say Xano, link, Xano. That's my affiliate link. No code database with APIs. All right. And then I'm going to slap their logo on there. I'm going to screenshot it because it's white. What's up with these guys? All right. And logo. Hopefully it adds the logo this time and everything works. Like, if not, we will figure it out. Add tool. The tool didn't get added still. What is this madness? All right. I'm going to hit inspect and see if I got any errors. Console. All right. It looks like I did. All right. I got an error. Created tool name user. Interesting. I wonder why it's not sending. All right, well, I shall figure that out behind the scenes, and we will figure it out and get it up and running. So you guys see how I just hit console? Console gives you the ability to inspect and see what's happening. All right, so at any time you could see what's missing. So right here it says missing param path, logo path. Okay, that's interesting. So interesting because I'm actually not storing it on Xano. How do I upload it then? All right, so I'm just going to pass that error in, and I'm just going to say, can you make this work 100%? And I got this error when adding my new tool. Okay. And then I'm going to paste. All right, so if I wanted to deploy this on my own server, here's what we could do. Inside cPanel, you could add subdomains, which is really helpful. Okay, so if I was to add a subdomain inside these domains, you could add subdomains. And if you see, I have call.myaiteam.com. I have deck.myaiteam.com. You guys want to see something really cool? If you guys type in text to code myaiteam.com, one of the top ranking sites is a fully custom coded website. It's the actual pitch deck that I used to pitch, and I put it online and it ranked on Google. Like, this is a fully custom coded website, and I added it and it's ranking on Google. And it's my domain. It has a CSL, like custom, like it's like private. Look, and like this full little, like this is my full pitch deck on the internet. Like, it's pretty crazy. Like, and so it ranks. These things rank. And so now we're going to see Xano paste. Let's just see if this thing works. Cool. All right. And so we go here, link, no code database with APIs, with API. All right. Xano, add tool. Hopefully it works. Might take a few seconds to upload because it looks like we're actually connected to Xano this time. All right, I'm going to inspect because it doesn't look like it's working. All right. Why isn't it working? Oh, life of a developer. So yeah. Let's try that again. All right, we are getting an error. All right, cool. So it must be the image that is not working. So here's the cool thing is we could always go back into time and we don't have to make it where it adds the image. I think that's what's happening. So I think the image thing is kind of messing us up. So I'm going to say, can you make it so it adds the user ID when submitting the tool? Okay, perfect. So we must just not have the ability to add logos.
Those are requests or commands you're giving, right? So could you just request what you need to do to fix it? Because all you're seeing is the error, and you're assuming you know what to do, and you're telling it. but couldn't you ask it? But would you have to open maybe another chat to get instructions on what to do to fix it?
Thank you, Troy. You're absolutely right. So here's what I could have done is I could hit the chat, right? So we have a little chat right here, and this chat references your code. So I believe now here's like what I'm kind of thinking is, I guess you're right. Maybe it's not even about thinking. Maybe we just actually.
Yeah, I mean, just ask it. What's specifically wrong with this, and why am I getting this error, and how would I fix it manually myself?
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, why isn't the images sending? There you go. Right, and so this will probably tell us. And I kind of have a thought is that it's like uploading as base 64. I don't know. I was just hoping it was going to upload to Xano. I would imagine it could do that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. All right. So favorite tool function handles files, server. Make sure the server is set up. Checks the file size. Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, we could kind of go through here and try going.
What if you reference that error specifically?
Yeah, let's try that. Okay. So,
I mean, you give it more details.
Yeah. And we'll say this, which is going to be file upload, file changed. All right. So let's just say that. Copy this. And in here it says, here is my error. All right. That's what it says. Upload file changed. So failed to fetch. Let's see what happens. Good job, Troy. Thanks for guiding me. Thanks for teaching me how to program.
Teamwork.
Yeah, right. Suggested with the file upload process, it can occur for several reasons. All right. It's being modified, file access issue, network, browser, file size. All right. That will add more error handling, huh?
You said it references the code, but does it seem to be doing that right now? Because it seems to be giving you general instructions that you could Google search, right?
Yeah, you see right here where it says function add new tool. This actually is telling us what to add. However, I think it might be, you see how it says ensure your Xano backend is configured to accept files. So I'm wondering if I kind of saw whenever we were adding this logo. So if I hit new type and I go to add to the storage image, this actually just says image metadata. I'm wondering if it actually doesn't allow an uploaded file or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if it isn't actually uploading it. It's just uploading the path. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could be. You have to have that stored somewhere else and just put the path there.
I mean, because here's what we could do, right? Instead of the logo, I could delete this one, and I could say logo URL, okay? And then I'll add column, and then what I could do is go into the database, and then now in the defaults, or if we refresh this Swagger, well, now what we could do is whenever we create and get that tool, we're actually going to be passing in the logo URL, which is going to be, it's actually going to be just a URL link now instead of us uploading something. So now if I copy this, this is our get tools and all this stuff. So now I could say over here, because it might have been an upload issue. So I could say make update the API call and forms so I can add my logo URL. Here are the new API endpoints. Okay. And I could paste. All right. So I'm just pasting in the same updated, just Swagger information, the get one. And then that returns all of that information. And then the post one. So it actually creates us one. And so we shall see this in a second. So here's what's cool is if I want to add this code, if I hit view code, I could hit copy code and I could copy this code. And if I go to cPanel, here's what's really, really awesome. I'm going to be adding this to tools. Okay. So tools has, I already have a tools here, right? And if I go to tools, let's just see tools.myaiteam.com. What do I have? All right. I already kind of started creating a tools directory. I'm going to restart this because I think the new tools directory is going to be better, right? So I'm going to hit delete on the index file and I'm going to upload. And here's what we could do is, here's our little tools. So let's try it now. And then afterwards, I'm going to upload this entire tool to, basically, I'm going to upload this tool, this onto tools.myaiteam.com. Okay. So now we're going to have description. And I'm going to say the description is going to be a no code database with easy to connect APIs. All right. And then this is the logo. So now in order to get the logo, let's see if they have a different color logo. They don't. Okay. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to hit copy image address and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to paste that. All right. And this says Xano white. I really wish there was like a Xano black. I wonder if there is. I'm just going to try that simple domain if they were that simple in naming their stuff. Xano black. Nope. Dang. All right. So it's going to be a white logo, so we probably might not going to be see theirs, but at least we will see Xano being added right here. All right. So now we actually have the tool. Super freaking awesome. If I hit edit on my AI team, I can add the logo. That totally needs to be stylized way better. But nonetheless, I'm going to right click, copy image address. I'm going to hit there. I'm going to hit paste and I'm going to hit save changes. And it added the My AI team logo there. So if I go into the Xano database and I go into data, well, you can see now we're creating stuff in our software now, right? So I literally just created this. We can delete this, right? So if I hit delete, let's see if delete works, right? So delete Xano, goodbye. It works. Okay, and then we can read it and we can update it. Okay, so I was able to update it. I was able to add the logo and I was able to add the link. So if I now go into the database and I go into our favorite tools, you can see my AI team is in here. The user is connected to it and the link is attached to it. Well, this is really helpful. Well, from here, I can now make it where I can you make a world class and super fast search for the tools. Okay. Okay. Tools. And then I can hit generate. Right. So now we're able to we're going to add search to the tools. Right. We're not going to be able to search very much if we don't have a lot of tools here. So let me add all these. No code database with easy to connect APIs. All right. And then boom, adds the tool. Now we're going to be able to have this. And then we're going to have a search functionality soon. So like I said, if you want to deploy this software on your own server and known domain, well, if we hit this view code, well, I could actually download the file now. So that actually downloaded my software, the whole entire code right there. Well, if I go into our file manager, into our domain, remember, I'm in my folder here and I'm inside my file now. If I go into cPanel, I'm actually going to go to upload. And I'm going to go to my downloads, and I'm going to go to upload that HTML that I just downloaded from my AI team. Well, here's what's cool. So if I go to this index.myAIteam page now, like, or the tools.myAIteam, you're going to see that we actually don't have a website here anymore. We just have a list of the files. But you see how it says index.1.html? If we want to make something the main page, I could actually rename this, right? I want to rename this. You actually want it to just say index.html file, okay? So now if I hit refresh, well, check out this. We have our favorite tools, and I'm not signed in. You see how I'm not signed in? So it doesn't show that I have all my accounts and all that stuff, and I don't have all that information because it's not saving. If I hit inspect, and I go into application and I go into local storage, it's not saving my login information because the domain, it hasn't saved my information, right? Well, check out this. If I hit tools.myaiteam.com, and remember our login page that we created? All right, so I'm going to say, can you make it so it goes to this page on the dashboard? Okay, dashboard, when the button is clicked. So now watch this. It's actually going to send us to the My AI Team page that we just created, and it's also going to pass our user authentication through this. All right, so we're actually going to get our user authentication. So right here it says you are not signed in. Well, I'm going to be able to sign in on this whole other page, and I could even add this page called sign in. So now if I have a page inside here, it could be called signin.html. Right? So if I go back into tools, and then you could link all the pages together this way, okay? And now I have my index.page, all right? And now we're here. If I click on dashboard, it opens up a new tab. It doesn't open up a new tab. It's a liar. All right, so can you make sure to open the dashboard in a new tab? When clicked, and make sure to pass the auth in the URL. All right, and I'm gonna hit generate. So this gives you guys the ability. Now I could search. That's cool. So I could say Xano. Now Xano pops right there. Bam. Can I say API? I can. No code. Can I say code? And my AI team will pop. Cool. Both of them code. How about if I say AI? Perfect. All right. So literally the code in the search works for us. So this is updated. I'm going to hit refresh on this page. And now we're going to see that we have our login. And if I hit dashboard, it sends our authentication over here. It passes it to over here and here. Okay. And now we're logged in.
But it says you are not signed in.
Yeah. Let me refresh this. So let me say, all right. So all right. So I'm going to do that same thing I did earlier, right? I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go into here. And I'm going to tell it, make sure you get the user auth from the URL parameter. Here is the HTML that is HTML sign up that is sending the info. Okay, I'm just going to hit paste. And now if I ever want to, so if you notice, if I click on this page right here, the software dashboard, and I hit refresh, it actually doesn't have our search functionality. Okay, it doesn't have our search functionality, and it's also not automatically seeing that we are logged in. Right. So here, once this page is done, we're actually going to update the code. And there's a couple ways that we could update the code once we publish it to our cPanel. If I go into this right here and I just hit edit, well, look, this gives me the ability to edit the HTML. Well, all I have to do is I could literally edit the HTML right here on this page. Well, so as soon as this is done, right, we'll hit close on this. As soon as this page is done loading.
Now, shouldn't we consider having the search the search field there even when not logged in or authorized? Because then, you know, someone ends up on that page. If you got hundreds of tools available, and you want them to possibly, you know, sign up for the service, then it would be good if they could see if there's something they like.
1,000%. And I think that's a great idea. You know, that's a really good observation. And you're right. I mean, so we could make it where this dashboard is private, or you could make it where it's public. So totally make that, right? So I'll do the search.
Well, I mean, we're going to have a site, we're going to have a page anyways, but I'm just, if they ended up on that page, you know, it could be in two spots, but if they ended up on that page, I could see how the search field might be, you know, good for somebody who goes down the rabbit hole and then wants to sign up.
Yeah. So inside of our cPanel, we're able to edit, and I'm able to paste my documentation from my other site, right? From my AI team. And I just hit save. Well, now instantly, if I hit refresh, we'll check this out. Right now we have the search, right? So Troy, it still adds the search. So great job. You're right. Yeah. So that's a functioning thing, right? So we have our search, and now we need to make it where it actually, let's see if it goes to the dashboard and see if it has the tools. Boom. We have our login. So this is tools.myaiteam.com, and it has our login here. So if you guys want to check out my AI team here, I'm going to also add. So remember how I talked about there's a couple white label versions, right? Let me show this one. This is one of my favorites, Symvoli.com, right? Symvoli. If you guys didn't know, Aspire Builder is built on this thing, okay? This is what Aspire Builder is. All I did, you see how familiar this is? Look. All of this is, all this is, if this is Symvoli, if I go to aspirebuilder.com, right? This is my little secret, right? If I go to aspirebuilder.com, well, check this out. It's the exact same freaking thing. It's just my colors and branding. I just added my logo up the top, okay? So that's all I did. So if I go back to tools, I'm going to, back to this tools, Symvoli, my link, description, white label website builder, super clean, has funnels, emails, and course builder. All right. And you could white label that thing, right? Now we can grab
your affiliate. You should put your affiliate link in there, though.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
sure you will go back.
Yeah, I'm going to come back and update and utilize that CRUD feature, okay? So I'm going to copy the link, and I'm going to say copy image address, and just simply go to my tools, and all right, my tools, logo, add tool. Now we have our Symvoli here. Bam.
Bam.
So if you guys go right now to tools.myaiteam.com, you guys will see this this software dashboard live. All right. You guys will see this whole thing, and you'll start to see all my stuff populated here. Over time, does everybody see it? You guys see it?
Yep.
Woohoo. All right. So now I'm gonna go add another one. All right. So CodeCanyon.net. Check this out. So if you guys go to CodeCanyon.net, all items. Eventually, I'm gonna sell stuff on this thing, but you guys can go on here, and there's like things like WordPress or PHP scripts. Well, check this out. There's entire software on this thing. Look, here's an AI content generator. This is my AI team, but text code, image code, chat, like all of this. This is a full-on software for $39. And all you have to do, look at this software. All you have to do is slap your logo at the top, and this is what it looks like. This is a full-on software that you could use. And this is your software. You would just switch your logo up here, live demo, everything like this. Like this is a live demo so you can see the inside. This is what the software would look like. This software is entirely coded up. Everything's created. Everything's done for you. You just slap your logo on, slap your like payment gateway. I haven't used this one, so I'm not necessarily endorsing this, But you can see this one right here has 4,900 comments. It has 5,000 sales and a 4.9 review rating. So I think it might be decent. No promises, but you could go through and read the comments, read the reviews, and see what people say. But for 39 bucks, for the extended, for 119 bucks, you could own a software and slap it on your domain and put it on your cPanel server. And then you could take the code and you could update it in my AI team if you wanted to. By copying in code and viewing it and updating it, you could do all that stuff and you could make the changes yourself. That's what's possible with this. Okay, so codecanyon.net. All right, I'm going to add this one to my handy dandy directory. Okay, I've actually needed a directory for a very long time. All right, so this one is going to be called Code Canyon. All right, and then the link. This is a marketplace to buy and sell custom code. Okay, and we'll add the logo. Let's see, wherever this is, in Vonto. All right, copy image address, and we are here. Cool. Now we have another software for our thing. All right, so hopefully, all right, so let me see if I go to tools. If I go to the tools site, interesting, you guys can delete stuff too. So I'm going to make sure I update that code. All right, so we're going to say, can you make sure to only allow edit and delete if the user created the tool. All right, and also hide the submit tool if not logged in. Cool. All right, and then we'll just update this. And I think that this is like, it doesn't have to be crazy. You could see that this is a link directory that we created in a few seconds. And over time, your software will build. Over time, I just made a login and then I now have a sign up. Now I deployed it onto my own website and I have it on my own website domain. You guys can now see it on the internet. That is 90% of building software, is just those processes. The other part, you guys saw how we set up where you could actually sell stuff, right? You guys remember how we were selling stuff inside Aspire Builder? Well, Aspire Builder could send webhooks and information to Xano, right? It is a little bit more technical and you have to set it up, but Go High Level could also send webhooks to Xano. So if you ever need to give people access or give people user accounts or anything like that, you can by sending webhooks over to Xano. So I'm going to hit view code. I'm going to copy this new update.
Sorry, I was just testing. I was still able to edit. As you can see, I put hi at that symbol.
Yeah, now if you hit refresh, Troy, I just updated it. So it doesn't update it automatically inside my AI team. You actually have to deploy the code on the internet.
No, but right? It's changed. I just refreshed. Yeah, I was testing it. I just changed the title.
I love it. Right, so you changed it.
I guess the edit button isn't there anymore. Okay, so
yep, because it
must have still been changed in the code. Sorry.
Yep, no, it's literally because you have to deploy the code onto your server, right? You see how I updated that code right here? Now I deployed that code onto the server. So yeah.
So you can go back and change the title. See, it says hi.
That's awesome. So, and at any time, if you don't have access to build stuff on the front end, right, you could literally go back into your database and you could simply update that in your database also, right? Your database is just a giant spreadsheet, okay? So you're able to update that and everything inside here too. So, perfect. So I added this. Now if I hit refresh on this, you can see everything is back to normal, to the symbol. Perfect. So, any questions on connecting to Xano, creating logins or anything like that? This is one of those things where it's a tool that the more you use it, the more you'll understand it. It is, now we have everything that we need to connect front end to back end without having to worry about like authentication for users, learning how to worry about like, is my database secure or anything like that. Xano gives you a secure database, and you don't necessarily need Bubble to deploy your software. Does it mean that I'm cutting out Bubble forever? No. I mean, I just think that Bubble has a time and place. I still use, you guys see how there's different pages right here? Whenever you click on these different pages, it actually is still on the same software. I still believe Bubble, that ability to keep things in the page is powerful. However, I mean, we'll figure it all out. So that's kind of what we'll talk about next week. So.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, I just remembered, is I put that link in the chat, and then I just put, if you were to click on it and scroll down, because I looked for a solution to your graphic thing when you were going through that. Yeah. And this, it looks like this person might have found a solution, and I'm not sure if that just might make sense to you, but.
Okay, otherwise, it seems this user finally said this.
Yeah, if you click on that, nice. And then you scroll down. If you scroll down this a little down a little ways, this person helped Kent, and he said, "Thanks. I read the documents and binding and the images because they told him just to read the docs in Xano, I think. Oh, that was in WeWeb. I don't know. Either way, I was trying to find a solution so that you wouldn't have to, because I think what you did is just store it somewhere else and then use a URL. I was searching for answers as you were doing that workaround, but am I right? Is that what you ended up doing?
Yeah, I didn't store it somewhere else. I just copied image address because that's already stored on somebody's site. You know what I mean? So I'm just right-clicking and copying the image address and referencing their image. So yeah, that's pretty much what
I was just looking to, I just searched to see if there was a place to store images or graphics within Xano, and that was the chat that came up.
Nice. Yeah. And I'm sure, yeah, definitely reading the documentation and going and finding more information on how it is. It looks like it says decode into base 64. So there's just like some things that you need to have to figure out, you know, and it's like some of that is just like, here's somebody that found the solution on the internet, and then you copy the answer and you paste it in the AI, and the AI figures it out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's the way you try it that way. So, yeah.
Well, you did it. All right.
Cool. What do you think, Isaac? Did that help?
Amazing, dude. Awesome. Sweet. This is literally game changing here.
Yeah, I was looking at his face as you were going through all that. And, you know, I mean, this I can follow and it interests me, but I think Isaac's really into it. So I think I think his silence spoke 1,000 words. He's like, I can't speak right now. I got so many ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. This is to make it where you could have logins, store user information, have everything like that. And I think that, like, I mean, having it where you could have a HIPAA compliant database. So Xano has it, but you have to upgrade to the highest one. So just know a HIPAA compliant database is $775 a month. Just for a HIPAA compliant base. So now what you need to understand with that is a client is the one that's going to be paying for that, not you. Sure. All right. What that means is if a client has to pay almost $750 just for the database, that means they're paying $15,000 for the invoice to hire you to manage that database. No. You have to be the person that knows how to handle a $750 a month database a month. You have to know how to be that guy. Well, that means they have to hire you that. Well, that's all your schools, all your private data, all your, you know, your those. Imagine getting a school and needing to be able to manage software for hundreds of thousands of users. Like, that's the type of stuff that's fat paychecks, you know, and building amazing software. Xano gives you the ability to build it. My AI team gives you the ability to code it and connect all those things, you know, and so we get really fast.
Because of what you just said, I'll ask this question, which I didn't ask earlier, because I think I just guessed the answer for the most part. Because you mentioned that Xano would have maybe 100,000 data points. Now, I know Facebook and all these have millions of data points. But so wasn't sure if you meant 100,000 per user, or if you meant 100,000 like 100 people at 1,000, or what you meant by that number.
Yeah. So essentially, what I mean, Xano has a free version, and they give you 100,000 database rows. So that means you could store data in 100,000 rows. It's like an Excel sheet, right? So each row is one database line. So you could store all those data. So it's not necessarily data points like Facebook. Facebook aggregates all your posts and all that stuff, and they create a profile. However, the way they do it is because they have all your information in a giant Excel sheet.
But I guess then an easy way, maybe, or an easier way to answer would be, would that be you could have the first name of 100,000 users, or you could have the first, last, email, phone number, address for 100,000 users?
That's a good one. Yeah, I wonder if it's each row counts as a record. You know what I mean? That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. I'm not planning to overdo that or overuse the free version, but and if I did, then I'd address it.
And here's the thing: is the next version is $100 a month in that unlimited database. You know what I mean? So besides storage, and then you pay based off storage.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you ever do need more space in whatever it is, it's available. You know what I mean? So they claim that they are a scalable no-code backend database. That's what it is, right? And I mean, being able to log in and create logins that fast, I mean, it's so freaking helpful. You know what I mean? Like that really, really helps speed up software development time. I mean,
sweet.
You saw how I'm like now little link directory, and I have a login, and
you did the login like it was just opening the door, and then the whole rest of the time we've been doing all the other stuff. So that took the least amount of time, was setting the login up.
Yep. And so it really helps when you're trying to create software and you're trying to deploy it. I mean, that's 90% what a software as a service is. If you want to sell clients and have clients, that's what you do. So, yep. So cool.
Sweet.
Awesome,
Awesome.
brother.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank
I
you.
can't wait to see what you guys create. I love you guys.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Thanks.
See ya.
All right, brother. Bye.
Bye.